At 57, I found myself in the midst of what appeared to be a flawless existence. I'm Angela Carter, a woman whose curves remain untouched by time, even as my age reveals itself in the silver strands of my long black hair and the delicate lines that grace my face. My skin radiated a warm caramel hue, a beautiful legacy of my heritage, while my hazel eyes retained a glimmer of youth, despite the subtle dimming that life had brought. Though I had evolved from the spirited young bride who wed Paul Carter 3 decades prior, I remained vibrant, graceful, and proud. Paul exuded charm and charisma. At 60, he still possessed the charm and appeal that captivated me all those years ago. With a tall stature and broad shoulders, he possesses an undeniable confidence, complemented by a smile that draws everyone's gaze the moment he enters a room. We have navigated the journey of life side by side, through the ups and downs of children, careers, and family disagreements, with our 3 adult children having flown the nest. Our spacious home now exudes a serene yet cozy atmosphere. While things had shifted, I held on to the belief that love remained, even if the daily grind had softened its brilliance. However, I recently observed that the passion no longer radiated with the same intensity as it used to. The once passionate kisses in the kitchen had dwindled to mere pecks. His touch, once warm, now felt mechanical and almost distant. I made an effort to push it aside, reassuring myself that it was merely the passage of time catching up with us. Recently, Paul's 2 younger brothers, Liam and Nathan, have moved in with us for a while. Liam, 35, possessed a quiet intensity. His dark, brooding eyes paired with a soft-spoken demeanor that naturally inspired trust in those around him. He possessed a subtle strength, an understated presence that rendered his smile both rare and invaluable. Nathan, 32, was a bundle of energy, always cracking jokes and bursting into laughter, his boyish blonde hair and playful green eyes adding to his charm. He radiated warmth and vitality, illuminating the space around him. During their few months with us, working on a project in town, they infused the house with a delightful liveliness that I found myself secretly cherishing. Their vibrant energy was truly invigorating. They brought out laughter in me that I hadn't experienced in years, even if I wouldn't say it aloud. A delightful flutter danced within me as I noticed their appreciative glances directed my way. They stood in stark contrast to Paul, exuding youth and an undeniable vibrancy. They brought back memories of a part of me I believed was gone, a version of myself I wasn't certain remained. Yet, hidden beneath this flawless facade, a tempest was gathering, poised to dismantle everything I believed to be true about my existence. Started off just like any ordinary day, but little did we know, it was the beginning of everything falling apart. I rose early, as is my routine, to whip up breakfast. Paul lounged in the kitchen, savoring his coffee and perusing the newspaper, as Liam and Nathan shuffled in, their sleepiness still evident. Nathan flashed a grin my way, delivering his trademark playful compliment about my cooking, while Liam expressed his gratitude as he settled in to enjoy the meal. That morning, I was ready to unveil some exciting news. Paul, I mentioned, I've been selected to represent my office at an out-of-town conference. I'll be heading out this afternoon, even though it's just for 2 days. Paul glanced upward, taken aback. Where is the conference taking place? I'm currently in Riverside. I responded. It's nothing significant, but they believe I'm the ideal choice. He gave a nod and flashed a smile. Absolutely, my dear. Go give it your all. He leaned closer and pressed his lips to my cheek, a kiss that seemed more routine than genuine. I glanced over at Liam and Nathan. I trust you both will keep things smooth for Paul while I'm away. Nathan chuckled. We make no guarantees. Liam offered a subtle smile, yet his gaze held onto me a moment longer than expected. Hinting at unspoken words he hesitated to voice. By 2 p.m., I had everything packed and was all set to go. Paul escorted me to the car, shared a brief goodbye kiss, and waved as I departed for the airport. Anticipation filled me, eager for the adventure ahead and the refreshing escape from the everyday routine of home. I was eager for the chance to immerse myself in a fresh setting, connect with new faces, and break free from the familiar routine I had grown accustomed to over the years. However, destiny had different intentions. As I stood at the airport, my suitcase beside me, a peculiar blend of excitement and anxiety washed over me. The terminal buzzed with activity. As travelers mingled amidst the lively chatter and the rhythmic sound of rolling suitcases echoed around. I glanced at my phone, curious about how much longer I would need to wait before boarding. Suddenly, my phone vibrated in my grasp. It was my superior. Seeing his name on the screen made my heart drop. "The conference has been canceled," he stated bluntly. "There are a few logistical challenges with the venue. I sincerely apologize. Angela, I understand this is a bit rushed." I managed a courteous reply, ending the call with a strained smile that swiftly disappeared. Thoughts surged through my mind. What's the next step? I wasn't ready to return home just yet. Not long after departing, I had eagerly anticipated a transformation, a moment of relief. However, there were no other options available. With a sense of hesitation, I climbed into the taxi heading back home, the journey stretching out before me, leaving me with an abundance of thoughts to ponder. I found myself revisiting Paul's farewell kiss, noting the absence of any real passion behind it. His eyes seemed to gaze beyond me. Could it be that I was just imagining things? Had he been distant for longer than I was willing to acknowledge? As I arrived home, the questions swirling in my mind had grown exponentially, and a sense of unease took root in my chest. When the taxi arrived at the driveway, I realized that Liam and Nathan's car was missing. That was quite typical. They frequently took care of errands or enjoyed a drink in the evenings. As I turned the key and opened the front door, I crossed the threshold into the familiar space beyond. The house was unsettlingly quiet. With a decisive thud, I placed my suitcase on the floor and gently shut the door, sealing off the world outside. The silence was neither soothing nor recognizable. It just didn't sit right. There was an unusual emptiness in the air without Paul around. Silence enveloped the space, no greeting, no sound of his voice, no light noise from the TV, nor the familiar hum of his laptop keys. I shouted for Paul, but the house consumed my voice. Silence lingered. With intentional grace, I placed my bag down and gently shut the door behind me. The sharp click of the latch resonated eerily in the vacant silence. I reassured myself that he was likely taking a nap. He had cultivated that habit post-retirement, referring to it as a well-deserved luxury after decades of dedication and effort. A wry smile crossed my face at the thought. As I ascended the stairs, I pondered that napping was merely a means of evading reality. Much like the man in question, with deliberate slowness, I ascended, the floorboards groaning softly under my presence. A subtle, playful smile danced across my lips. I intended to tease him about his laziness, for slipping away for yet another midday nap. He despised it when I confronted him, constantly complaining about a man deserving his rest. His irritation struck me as oddly charming, even though it frequently concealed a more profound frustration simmering beneath the surface of our relationship. However, as I approached the summit of the stairs, that playful notion vanished. My heart froze at the sound, delicate and undeniably clear. It left me completely motionless. A soft murmur, a soft sound drifted through the air, originating from our bedroom. My stomach knotted tightly. It was a soft whisper, too delicate to be uttered in solitude. My heart raced, palms slick with sweat as my thoughts darted through endless possibilities. I hoped I was just overreacting, that it was all in my head. Yet my feet seemed to have a mind of their own, propelling me onward. I walked toward the door, which stood slightly open, allowing a thin beam of light to spill into the shadowy hallway. My heart raced as I nudged it open just wide enough to catch a glimpse inside. And then, I laid my eyes on them. The sight struck me with an intensity that left me reeling, breathless and stunned. Paul had company. He was with Jasmine. the 22-year-old daughter of our neighbors. The same girl who once sold lemonade on the corner during her childhood. The girl I had seen grow up before my eyes. She was in there with my husband. On the bed we share as a couple. As I clutched the door frame for stability, my legs wavered, on the brink of collapse beneath me. My hands shook, yet I remained still. I felt paralyzed, ensnared in the terrifying scene playing out before my eyes. First, Paul overlooked my presence. He was completely absorbed, entirely captivated by her, his hands gliding over her bare back, his lips softly grazing her neck. He murmured something just out of reach, his voice soft and personal in a manner that once felt like it was mine. The bile surged in my throat, searing with the acrid taste of betrayal. What was the duration of this situation? How many times had I kissed him, held him, and trusted him, all while this was unfolding behind my back? My thoughts surged with an overwhelming tide of unanswered questions, each one more heart-wrenching than the previous. And then Jasmine caught sight of me. Her eyes grew wide with terror, her complexion draining of color as she forcefully shoved Paul aside. "Angela," she exclaimed, her voice quivering with emotion. At the sound of my name, Paul turned, his expression transforming from confusion to sheer panic. "Angela," he faltered, his voice heavy with urgency. "This is not Dash." I didn't hold back for him to complete his thoughts. My feet propelled me forward, racing ahead of my thoughts, leading me out of the room and down the stairs, my vision clouded by a mix of tears and rage. "Angela, hold on a moment." Paul's voice echoed behind me, his footsteps thundering on the floor as he pursued me. I entered the living room, breathless and panting. My breath came in ragged gasps as I struggled to comprehend what I had just witnessed. My hands trembled as I balled them into fists, battling the overwhelming desire to scream. Paul approached me, his complexion drained, embodying guilt and shame. "Angela, it didn't mean anything," he said, his voice filled with desperation. As he extended his hand towards me, I took a step back, lifting my palm to signal him to halt. "Don't touch me," I spat, my voice quivering with fury. "It was a mistake," he insisted, his words spilling out in a hurried stream, a fleeting lapse in strength. "I love you, Angela. I kindly ask you to hear me out." An error. The word reverberated in my mind, a harsh echo that lingered. He referred to it as a mistake. Did he make a mistake each time he slipped away to be with her? Did he really think lying to my face was the right choice? Embrace me, support me. The awareness of his actions lurking in the shadows left me gasping under the heavy burden of his betrayal. Though my knees trembled, I stood my ground, determined not to show any sign of weakness in front of him. Silently, I pivoted and strode away, my sight clouding as I shut myself in the guest bedroom. The moment the door clicked shut, everything came flooding out. Hot, bitter tears flowed down my cheeks as I fell onto the bed. Overwhelmed, I held the pillow tightly against my chest, stifling the sobs that shook my entire being. Visions of Paul and Jasmine surged through my thoughts, harsh and striking, each one more agonizing than the previous. Tears streamed down my face, leaving my throat raw and my chest feeling like an empty void. How could he betray me like this? After 3 decades of marriage, after everything we've faced together, how could he possibly betray me for someone young enough to be his daughter? I wept until every tear was spent, leaving me feeling empty and devoid of emotion. In that void, one thought emerged, igniting a fierce flame deep within me. I won't allow him to escape this situation unscathed. In the days that followed, I wore a mask of forgiveness, yet beneath the surface churned a tempest of anger, humiliation, and pain. Each moment served as a harsh reminder of the betrayal that had broken the life I once believed in. I hardly ate at all, barely grazing the meals I had carefully crafted to maintain a facade. Sleep felt elusive. As I shut my eyes, the vision of Paul with Jasmine replayed incessantly in my thoughts, a relentless loop of betrayal. Each time I looked at Paul, a knot formed in my stomach, his efforts to maintain a facade of normalcy, to crack jokes, to reach out to me, to feign that our lives hadn't been shattered, only fueled my anger. What I saw in him was a master of deception, the one who shattered my trust into pieces. In the midst of one of those interminable, restless nights, the thrilling, perilous idea slinked into my consciousness. If Paul can turn his back on me so effortlessly, what reason do I have to stay loyal to him? The question lingered, saturating the atmosphere with its significance. Then another thought emerged, igniting my pulse and filling my mind with a thrilling, shadowy intensity. Retribution. Absolutely. Revenge. The very mention ignited a rush within me, a flame that started to consume the helplessness I had experienced since uncovering his treachery. The blaze within me devoured the anguish, transforming it into a shadowy, instinctual force. If he could turn his back on me so easily, then I have my own plans for retribution. But how is that possible? What could wound Paul so profoundly that he would experience the depth of my feelings? My thoughts wandered to Liam and Nathan. Liam and Nathan. Their vibrant presence had graced our home for weeks, infusing it with a youthful energy that I hadn't recognized I was longing for. At 32 and 35, they radiated vitality, brimming with a zest for life that Paul hadn't experienced in years. Liam was the reserved type, his dark, piercing eyes constantly observing me with an intensity that felt almost palpable. He exuded a serene confidence, a subtle power that drew others in effortlessly. Nathan exuded charm and boyish mischief, his green eyes glimmering with humor and warmth. His ability to make me laugh was almost unfamiliar, a refreshing change after enduring years of Paul's increasing detachment. They looked up to me. Their eyes would linger just a moment too long as I walked into the room, and our conversations held a depth of respect and curiosity that was unmistakable. I had aged. Absolutely. I maintained a presence. In their presence, I truly felt acknowledged. If I were to seek my revenge, why not elevate it to new heights? Why not strike at Paul in the most profound way by turning to the two individuals he would least anticipate? The concept blossomed, gaining momentum with every day that went by, driven by my sorrow and an intense longing to reclaim authority over my existence. I would impart a lesson to Paul that would stay with him forever. The days following the discovery of Paul with Jasmine drifted by in a blur. I navigated the daily grind, feigning forgiveness and healing. Yet beneath the surface, I was bubbling with excitement over my scheme. Each strained smile and every farewell kiss before Paul headed off to work only intensified the flames inside me. One evening, after Paul departed with his friends, I found myself standing before the mirror in my room, evaluating my reflection with a discerning eye. I selected a delicate red satin dress tucked away in the back of my closet. It embraced my curves perfectly, with a neckline that dipped just low enough to attract attention while remaining tasteful. My hair, adorned with silver streaks, cascaded in soft waves over my shoulders, while a hint of lipstick accentuated the fullness of my lips. I had transformed from the insecure, heartbroken woman I once was just days ago. This evening, I embraced my inner queen, a woman wronged and poised to seize her strength once more. Liam and Nathan relaxed on the couch downstairs, a bowl of popcorn nestled between them as they immersed themselves in an action-packed movie. Their laughter resonated throughout the house, filled with warmth and a sense of freedom. The sharp click of my heels on the hardwood floor commanded their attention. With each careful step down the stairs, I commanded their attention, moving with purpose. Their gazes shifted toward me, eyes widening in surprise as they absorbed my appearance. "Are you enjoying the view?" "Text?" I inquired, positioned at the foot of the stairs, my hands placed assertively on my hips. Liam coughed, his face flushing a deep crimson as he looked away. Nathan, in contrast, flashed a grin, his green eyes glinting with playful mischief. "Wow, Angela," he said, his voice filled with playful energy. "You look absolutely amazing." "It's all for you," I said, allowing a playful smile to dance across my lips. Their confusion was palpable, yet neither of them averted their gaze. I approached them deliberately, my hips gently swaying with every step I took. "Shall we delve into something fresh?" I murmured, my tone laced with allure. "Only the three of us." Nathan's smile wavered. "Are you for real?" he inquired, his voice a blend of jest and disbelief. Liam shifted restlessly, yet I caught the glimmer of longing in his deep-set eyes. "Angela," he started, his voice barely above a whisper. "This isn't what I expected." I hushed him with a gentle finger resting on his lips. "Let go of your thoughts, Liam," I murmured, and simply embraced the moment. I nestled between them on the couch, just within reach of their comforting warmth. My heart raced, yet I maintained a steady movement, my smile playfully teasing. Nathan's hand lightly grazed mine, a touch tentative at the beginning. However, as I remained still, he grew more daring. "You're absolutely stunning," he whispered, his voice brimming with admiration. Liam appeared conflicted, his hands clutching the couch cushion as if it were his only lifeline. "Angela, this isn't right," he reiterated, though his tone betrayed a lack of certainty. I faced him, cradling his face softly in my hands. "Does it seem off?" I inquired, probing into his gaze. "Because it doesn't resonate with me." A stillness enveloped the scene, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. In perfect harmony, they all nodded together. A smile spread across my face as an exhilarating surge of power coursed through me. Unlike anything I had ever felt before, this was my opportunity to regain control, to restore a sense of dignity after Richard's actions. Liam and Nathan exchanged glances, their eyes dancing between me and one another, revealing a blend of astonishment and longing. "Let go," I murmured, my voice a sultry whisper. "Not happening with me." I extended my hand, tracing the line of Liam's jaw, savoring the rough texture of his stubble against my fingertips. "It's quite perilous. Wouldn't you agree?" I whispered, my eyes darting between the two brothers. Yet, there are moments when danger has an irresistible allure. Nathan leaned in, his hand lightly grazing mine before settling on my shoulder. "What's the reason behind this action?" he inquired, his voice quivering just a bit. "I realized I need this. I need to feel alive once more." Nathan made the first move, his powerful arms encircling me and drawing me in tightly. His lips met mine in an intense kiss, his tongue delving into my mouth with a desire that sent shivers racing down my spine. Liam paused for a brief moment, observing us closely, before ultimately deciding to participate. His hands moved cautiously at first, softly outlining the contours at the nape of my neck. However, it wasn't long before he became more daring, his touch increasingly demanding. Trapped in their embrace, their caresses sparked a long-dormant flame within me, one I hadn't experienced in ages. After what seemed like an eternity, I experienced the thrill of being desired, the sensation of being worshipped. The atmosphere in the room became increasingly charged, as the distinctions between right and wrong faded into obscurity. What started as sweet, innocent kisses evolved into something deeper, their hands roaming with a desire that mirrored my own. The experience was both intense and exhilarating. It was wrong, profoundly and unmistakably wrong, yet in that instant, felt entirely right. Time appeared to freeze in that moment. In that instant, there was pure exhilaration, no remorse, no hesitation, just the fiery rush of reclaiming power. "You're incredible," Liam murmured against my neck, his breath warm and tantalizing against my skin. Nathan nodded in agreement, his voice trembled, yet it resonated with deep emotion. "Absolutely stunning." Their hands caressed me with a sense of awe, as if I were a treasure they had yearned for without fully understanding. I reciprocated, leading them forward, encouraging their progress. I experienced a whirlwind of emotions, as if I was being simultaneously dismantled and reassembled. Their lips traced every contour of my body, Nathan's kisses ignited with intensity and urgency, while Liam's were gentle and tender, as if he were cherishing every nuance of my lips. The sensations surged through me, my body awakening to feelings I hadn't permitted myself to experience in years. It felt like they were stirring a deep, primal force within me, something fierce and unrestrained. Nathan pulled back from the kiss, his gaze probing into mine. "I've never experienced anything like this," he admitted, his voice quivering with sincerity. I gently cradled his cheek, my thumb gliding softly over his skin. I confessed, my voice tinged with a sense of vulnerability. Liam seized my wrist, drawing me back into his warm embrace. "Then allow us to reveal it to you," he said, his voice laced with enticing promise. Indeed, they took action. Their kisses deepened, igniting with a passionate urgency, as if they were determined to infuse every bit of their longing into me. The atmosphere crackled with an undeniable energy, the air heavy with unexpressed longings and fleeting caresses. I found myself facing Liam and Nathan, my heart racing as their gazes, one hazel and one brown, fixed intently on me. In that instant, the outside world blurred into insignificance, leaving just the three of us, fully immersed in our shared experience. As we finally separated, a heavy silence enveloped us, the gravity of the moment sinking in. Nathan let out a nervous laugh, his hand instinctively rubbing the back of his neck. He mentioned his tone was light, which caught me off guard. Liam's gaze met mine, his dark eyes brimming with a complex blend of guilt and yearning. "Angela," he murmured gently, "what is the significance of this?" "It signifies," I responded, my tone unwavering, "that a transformation is imminent." No questions were asked, and I kept my silence. In that instant, I realized there was no turning back. A spontaneous decision swiftly evolved into a clandestine romance. Liam and Nathan were utterly captivated by me, and I was completely enthralled by the way they ignited feelings of desire, strength, and vitality within me. We took extra precautions, making sure Paul stayed unaware. As he departed for work each morning, I would craft reasons to stay in the living room with his brothers, our hands brushing softly, our gazes heavy with unvoiced commitments. In the quiet of the night, while Paul lay peacefully asleep, I would quietly rise from the bed and discover one, or occasionally both, of them patiently awaiting me in the guest room. It was thrilling, audacious, but I was unfazed. For the first time in years, I stepped into the light, no longer the woman waiting in the shadows, overlooked and undervalued. I basked in the spotlight, the focus of their admiration, and I thoroughly enjoyed every moment.